This is WCN, the Whole Care Network. You talk, we listen. Content presented on the following podcast is for information purposes only. Views and opinions expressed during this podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent views of the Whole Care Network. Always consult your physician for medical and fitness advice, and always consult your attorney for legal advice. And thank you for listening to the Whole Care Network.
Have you ever met anybody that has caregiving on their bucket list of things to do in life?
Beyond caregiving, how do we care?
We also have to care for ourselves.
How do we treat friends, family, strangers we meet?
Forget it.
How do we heal? The physical, social, financial, spiritual.
Hello.
By creating healing ties. Tying it all together like a bow tie. With your host, Christopher McClellan, the bow tie guy.
Well, greetings, everyone. It is Christopher McClellan. You might know me as the bow tie guy. And welcome to another episode of Healing Ties 2.0, featured on the Whole Care Network. As you know, we're in our last week of recording our 30 and 30 podcast for National Family Caregivers Month, and it has been a total blast. I've had the opportunity to talk with a variety of friends, and I've met new friends, and we're just going to continue to move forward with our debut of our new Whole Care Network website. And you can actually visit the new site, but first you got to go to the old site. You'll see the link on the front page, and you'll take you to the new site. And then when you get to the new site, you're going to run into a fellow by the name of Bo, because Bo ties things together on the Whole Care Network. And when you see Bo, you're going to get it 100%. And during our soft launch of our new website, we're asking our listeners to provide us with some feedback on the new site, because we want to be able to build the site that works for you. One of the special features of the site is that you'll be able to search content, all your favorite content, your favorite blogs, your favorite videos, and your favorite podcast, which I think Healing Ties might be one of them, through our four pillars of care. That's our physical, social, financial, and spiritual health. And be on the lookout for our new YouTube channel and our streaming 24/7 radio channel that's debuting early in 2021. There's a lot of great things happening with the Whole Care Network. Well, enough for me. My guest for this episode on Healing Ties is a family caregiver, Lindsay Carretero from Point Blanc Voice. Lindsay is a native Floridian. There really are native Floridians. And Lindsay has a vibrant passion for life and the performing arts. Growing up dancing, acting, and singing, Lindsay's grandmother, Grandam Angel, was always by her side. Grandam Angel helped Lindsay by giving her rides, making sure she was fed, helping her memorize lines for acting scenes, and making beautiful costumes for her performances, and above all else, gave her the love and support only a grandmother can. In 2017, Grandam Angel's health began to decline, and Lindsay and her mother, Linda, became caregivers for Grandam Angel to help carry out Grandam Angel's one final wish. This is going to be a beautiful story about love, care, and commitment, and I am honored to have my voice coach, Lindsay Carretero, on Healing Ties today. Lindsay, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, goodness. I know a lot about your story, but I certainly want to share in this with our listeners. But your story really is about love, care, and commitment.
It is. And the only way I knew to give that love, care, and commitment is through the love, care, and commitment that my grandmother showed me. So for so many years, I was fortunate to have her in my life for so many years. And we were very close. We were very, very close. And
I
I was
loved
glad to
reading
be
the
able to give it
story.
back.
Yeah, I loved reading the story about how she helped you, and it's a big part of your life growing up, and you returned the favor.
Yeah. I mean, it was the only thing I knew how to do, right? When she wasn't feeling well, I just had to give her everything that I could to ease her pain, to make her transition as easy as possible.
And as you know, my pet phrase, and we've talked about this before, caregiving wasn't on your bucket list of things to do in life.
No, it definitely wasn't. That is a phrase that I like of yours because it's so true. Nobody nobody graduates college and says, well, I'm going to be a caregiver, or I don't know. That's just not something that you
Mm-hmm.
think about for your future as being a dream that you have. And yet here I was, and so many people are, they just find themselves in the position where they're now taking care of a loved one. And that's that.
Yeah, there's no really rhyme or reason to it. There's no plan in place. The plans are usually made after the diagnosis or after the accident, and you had to make some plans and some changes, and you did that willingly by moving real close to your grandmother.
Absolutely. I moved into this was actually just before she got sick. I moved into the mother-in-law's apartment on her property.
Oh, okay.
And because we knew she was getting older and she was going to need some help. My aunt lived there prior to me, and my aunt had passed away. And my grandma mothers and fathers are not supposed to lose their children. And so
Right.
that was really hard on my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And she declined. She just got very depressed, and that, doesn't help the situation,
Sure.
Anybody's health. So she needed some life in her yard, she needed some life on her property. And so we made arrangements for me to move into the mother-in-law's apartment so that I could just be there to, go over and have a cup of coffee, or if she needed something, I was just there. And, she could watch me leave for work each day and watch me come home, just to give her a little something more than sitting around the house each day. And that was great.
It helped avoid isolation.
Absolutely. That was great while it lasted. I loved being able to, I could look out my front window and see her sitting on her back porch.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, okay, this is her sign. She wants me to come visit, so then I'd, bring coffee over or just go sit and chat with her for a little bit and change her day and put a smile on her face. And she put a smile on mine every time.
Tell us a little bit about your grandmother. What did she do? What are the things that she liked to do? And what are I know the things that you like to do with her, but did you have a favorite?
The things that we used to do together?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just loved hanging out with her. I would love hearing her stories. I would love going shopping with her. We always used to go Christmas shopping. This is our first Christmas with her not being here. So this is going to be a tough time of year. Right. Although, I mean, things are crazy right now. So
right. Mm-hmm.
Who knows if I'm even going Christmas shopping. But I used to take her Christmas shopping and help her wrap her presents and go to lunch with her. We loved just hanging out together. My grandmother was a mother, a caregiver herself in her own way. She had 3 daughters, and then she took care of a grandchild, and she raised a great grandchild, which is pretty incredible.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah. So she had kids in her house. She died at 95. She probably had kids in her house until 85, 87.
Goodness.
Yeah. And so that kept her young, which was really great. So she was a mom. She did the cooking, did the cleaning, did the caregiving for the kids, made the school lunches, got people to and from, the their practices in school and all that stuff. I never lived with her until, I moved into that apartment on her property, but she was still just as much a part of my life and like a third parent almost, caring for me. We would go on vacations together. We just loved spending time together. And so one of the things she loved, which was your original question, she loved to sew. She also made clothes for her kids, but also my mom runs a performing arts studio and she just made tons of costumes, beautiful, beautiful costumes for the dance performances that we did. And that was one of her major passions. And that went sooner than her actually getting ill. She lost like the feeling in her fingers. And so her fingers became numb. And yes, exactly. And she wasn't able to, and that was
hard.
Yeah, that was hard on her too, because she really loved sewing.
Yeah. So thinking about the caregiving experience, it starts out in one level and it always goes to another level and it goes to another level. How was it for you and when you started to notice those changes in your grandmother and she needed more help?
So there was one incident. I hope this is okay to talk about because it gets a little bit gory.
It is okay to talk about.
Okay. So there was one incident where we knew things were definitely changing. Mm-hmm. And that was, I was doing a performance one weekend, Friday night show. I went out to have a bite to eat after with my then boyfriend and my mom. I came home. It was 11:30 midnight. And I saw my grandmother's kitchen light on. And okay, she might have been up wandering, getting a snack, whatever, but it was a little odd. So again, the reason why I'm living on her property is to just check in on her. And so I did. And I thought I could see through, there was a window with some sheer curtains, but I thought I could see through that her feet were on the kitchen floor. Oh. And I immediately, my heart sank and I said, I think she's on the floor. My boyfriend was with me, dropping me off at home. I said, I think she's on the floor. Let's go get the key. So we ran to my house, got the key, came back to her house and opened the door. And sure enough, she was on the kitchen floor and she had been there for a couple of hours. We don't know exactly how long, but I really thought that was the end because she had hit her head and her head was bleeding and the blood was all over the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And luckily, my now husband, then boyfriend, is a veteran and he just took over because I was in such shock,
Emotional?
I thought, it's
emotional.
Totally.
Yeah.
So he took over taking care of her. She was still alive, saying, don't move and it's going to be okay. We're here now, those kind of things. And I called my mother. She lives very close. So I called my mother, said, get over here now. I called the, police and they showed up. They rushed her to the emergency room. And luckily she made it through that. I mean, it was really incredible seeing the state that she was in when we found her. It was pretty miraculous that she made it through that. So that was in June. And then in September of that year is when we got like that. I don't know. To me, it feels like a death sentence of 3 to 6 months.
Oh, those diagnoses with speculative life expectancies.
And I got to tell you, that was one of the worst things because not that she had 3 to 6 months to live. Okay, fine. But when you get a number like that, you automatically go into 3 to 6 months. That's not that long. I'll do whatever it takes to take care of her. And that's where we started from as far as caregivers. And that's what was really, really the most difficult because 3 months came, she hadn't died. Great. 6 months came, she hadn't died. Great. The doctor is telling us any day now, any day now. And we're hanging on that any day now. So for the next year, from September of 2017 through September of 2018, we were living our lives completely by the fact that we thought she was going to die literally any day. And so that was really rough because it sent me into this fight or flight mode every single day.
Right.
Where I wasn't taking care of myself. My mom wasn't taking care of herself. We were the main caregivers at that time. And so it was, 1 year into it that I said to my mom, finally, we can't live like this anymore. We can't do this anymore. And she's like, oh, you feel that way too? She needed permission almost to
goodness.
feel that way. Because I was the one who cracked and said, it's over. I had a total breakdown. I was uncontrollably sobbing and just saying, I cannot live my life like this anymore. So we then changed some things, got some more help as far as caregiving was concerned, because she needed constant supervision 24 hours a day.
Right.
And those time limits that you mentioned are really, I think, the worst part of it all, because they give you an expectation that nobody knows. Nobody knows. The doctors don't know.
They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know. I think I shared with you that I got, when Richard's cancer was diagnosed, I got the doctor pulled the doctor aside and he said, well, he has 3 to 4 months to live and let him do whatever he wants to do. Well, and he lived another 29 months. They don't really, so when I hear they give out the numbers, I just don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
I agree. Now I know that, but then I didn't.
You didn't. And that's why.
It was rough.
And that's one of the precise reasons why we like to do these stories, because when people hear that come after us, and they could use this as a reference, and it can make their caregiving experience just a tad bit easier. We're giving people their voice.
Absolutely. And you know what I would say now? I would say, you don't know that. Just respectfully, but that. Like, sorry.
Sorry, you don't know that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and I guess we'll come full circle. And you're actually, Grandma Angel did pass earlier this year.
Yes, on April 30th of this year, she ended up passing away, and it was crazy. It was towards the beginning of the pandemic, and things were locked down, and it was a hard time. We didn't know, were her caregivers bringing, we didn't know anything then.
Yeah.
So were her caregivers bringing in, coronavirus? Were we? And so it was a really scary time. And I was scared too, because my husband works at a job that he's considered an essential employee, and he had to be going to work. And so I was scared to then be in the house with him and then go visit her.
Oh my goodness.
So towards the end, I actually didn't see her for a full week before she passed, which was a little bit rough. But I think somehow, I had said everything I needed to her. Right. I was very forthright. She had said everything she needed to me. So I don't regret it. But at the same time, I think, I could have, seen her one more time.
We always go back and think, if I could have done this a little bit different, or if I just would have changed that. But
yeah,
the one thing that you did is that you were there. You were present.
Yeah, I tried to be as present as possible, which is why I couldn't keep being one of the main caregivers.
Mm-hmm. And what's nice about that, Lindsay, and you don't know it right at the beginning of it, is that you were able to recognize that. Mm. And in recognizing that, not only were you taking good care of your grandmother, you were taking care of yourself, which is so essential. And we lose that in the midst of this whole caregiving journey, as we lose ourselves.
Absolutely.
And it's okay. It's okay to ask for help.
Yes. And, I told you how much time I love spending with my grandmother and just hanging out with her. So the fact that I wasn't enjoying it and it felt like such a chore, that's the part that felt icky to me. And I knew it needed to change.
Think of, there's so many people who don't recognize that. And I commend you for recognizing, because you made life better for both your grandmother and yourself and your mom as well. by bringing in additional help. I just, that's part of the story that I love so much about your story, but that's one of the main features that I love, is that you recognized that you needed help.
Yes, absolutely.
And you went and got it. And you fulfilled your grandmother's final wish.
We did. She wanted to die at home. Her husband had died in the same room that she died in. Let's see, I'm 30. I'm going to be 35 in like a week. So
oh my gosh.
Let's just call me 35.
So we call you 35. 63. 35 and 63.
And he was 2 when I passed away. So 33 years prior to, he had passed away in that same room. So, my husband brought up, and this was really a cool thought, it was their living room area, which looked out into their backyard. And he brought up the point that they had that same view. Their last view was the same view, and how cool that idea is 33 years apart.
What a beautiful sunset.
Mm-hmm.
As time passes, how do I want to say this? As time passes, this story is going to continue to resonate with you. And I hope you're able to continue to share it, because it needs to be heard.
Thank you.
You're given beautiful sunsets. Goodness. Well, maybe this is the perfect time for us to take our break and regroup. So
sounds good.
Lindsay, this is just terrific. But I'm going to shift gears just a little bit, as I'm doing with all of our guests here. We've had a very beautiful and serious conversation. We're going to come back, and it's going to be a little bit more lighthearted. But when I come back for the break, I'm going to want to know one fun fact about you that I don't know, and I know that all of our listeners are going to want to know. So you got to put your thinking cap on.
All right, will do.
Okay. Well, you're listening to Healing Ties on the Whole Care Network. We will be right back.
Tomorrow on Healing Ties 2.0.
So I think people put aging in a silo, and it really isn't. It affects everyone. And I was like, well, we don't know what quality of life those 80-year-olds are living. We can't assume that they don't have a quality of life. I think it's important that we don't address people as they're getting older as dispensable. Hi, I'm Tia Kozar, geriatric patient advocate and medical student, and I invite you to come and listen to my conversation on Healing Ties 2.0, where we talk about ageism, dying with dignity, and all things geriatric.
Join us tomorrow and every day in November for 30 shows in 30 days. Healing Ties 2.0. Available at thewholecarenetwork.com/Healing Ties and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Well, welcome back, everybody. I am just continuing my delightful and meaningful conversation with my good friend, Lindsay Carretero from Point Blanc Voice. So, Lindsay, this is your time. All right, we want to know, what is the fun fact about you that I want to know and all of our listeners want to know?
Well, you kind of gave a little bit of detail into this earlier, but I think all of the listeners should know that I am your voice coach.
Yes, that is a fun fact. You are my voice coach.
Yeah, I think that's a fun fact. Do you want another one that was going to surprise you?
Well, I'm all ears.
Okay, let's see. My fun fact is that I have a dog named Echo, and his birthday was just 2 days ago, and he's now 3 years old, and he really actually, this ties into our conversation. He
Mhm.
really was a life changer when it came to caregiving for my grandmother, because all of a sudden I had something else to focus on in caring for
Mhm.
him that revitalized me again when I was at one of my lowest points.
Unconditional love.
Unconditional love. Absolutely.
Echo.
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 Yeah.
Yeah. How did that name come about?
So he's a pot cake from the Bahamas. Have you ever heard of pot cakes?
No, I have not.
So in the Bahamas, the street dogs don't have anything to eat, and the restaurant owners will cook their food for the day. And then whatever is left stuck at the bottom, caked at the bottom of the pot, at the end of the day, they put out for the dogs to eat. And so they call the dogs pot cakes because they eat, the street dogs eat the
I eat the leftovers.
leftovers. Yes. So he is from the Bahamas. He's a pot cake, and he has these big ears, really big ears. And so we wanted to name him something along the lines of Echo or Radar, or something that implied that he had big ears. And since I am in voice work, Echo kind of just went along
I
with
totally get it.
that. And we also liked that it was like a Greek god name as well.
That is true. Greek gods. Echo. Well, maybe I'll get a chance to meet Echo one of these days.
That would be awesome.
You know, the other fun fact that I'm going to share, you know, we didn't, when I was searching out for a voice coach, and then we got connected, and it was a couple of sessions before we got into the caregiving conversation, and it just even deepened our conversations and our friendship. And that's why it was so important for me to have you on to tell your story, because it's all about story sharing. But before we end this wonderful conversation, which we're going to have many more, please let our listeners know about the work that you do and how important it is to have your voice heard.
Absolutely. So I am a voice coach, and that means that I help performers, but I also help professionals and for personal growth as well. Anyone that is looking to strengthen their communication skills, that is looking to improve the way that they communicate with more effectiveness and efficiency, whether that means working on your breath, working on your alignment, working on your facial expressions, or the way that you express your words. That's what I do, and I love it. I'm a total voice nerd. So if you're looking for somebody to help out with any of that, I am your gal.
Yeah, and I would say the proof in the pudding is go and listen to my podcast about a year or so older, and listen to my podcast now, and you're going to say, "Oh, she does a pretty good job." So,
another fun fact, he's one of my greatest students. He's a complete pleasure to work with.
Well, thank you. And we're going to get back. We'll be doing more classes in December, January. And we're going to be featuring you on the Whole Care Network as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, you know, Lindsay, with the work that you do and the stories that you share, you're certainly someone who's creating healing ties all around us. I can't thank you enough for sharing your story today. I can't thank you enough for your expertise, but most of all, I can't thank you enough for your friendship.
Thank you. I appreciate our friendship as well.
Well, that does it for this episode of Healing Ties. As you know, I'm your host, Christopher McClellan. You might know me as the Bowtie Guy. I've created a life to love after caregiving ends by sharing stories, resources, and being with awesome people like Lindsay Carretero. Healing Ties is a part of the Whole Care Network and produced in the posh downtown studios of Odd Box Productions in St. Louis, Missouri. Please check out our soft launch of our new Whole Care Network website, and be sure to subscribe to Healing Ties wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. We'll see you for another episode of Healing Ties real soon, like tomorrow, as we continue our 30 podcasts in 30 days to celebrate National Family Caregivers Month. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye for now.
Ciao.
This is WCN, the Whole Care Network. You talk, we listen.